They were the picture-perfect family. You know the type. Every Christmas card was flawless, every graduation was attended in designer clothes, and every Sunday dinner looked like a scene from a movie. From the outside, the Miller family was a fortress of success and tradition. But anyone who has lived long enough knows that the thickest doors often hide the quietest screams. When Eleanor, the beloved matriarch, passed away at 82, the community mourned the loss of a gracious woman. But inside the lawyer's office 3 days later, grief was quickly replaced by a shockwave that shattered that perfect family image forever. The inheritance wasn't just questioned. It was a declaration of war. What really happens behind closed doors when the curtains are drawn? Prepare yourself. This story isn't just about money. It's a painful, necessary look at what we choose to see in our families and the devastating reality of what we choose to ignore. It will make you question everything you thought you knew about what it means to be a good child. Eleanor spent her final months in the master bedroom of the house she had fiercely maintained for 50 years. It was a beautiful room filled with antiques and the smell of lavender. It was also a gilded cage. In those final weeks, drifting between clarity and the fog of medication, Eleanor made a decision. She called her lawyer Mr. Henderson, a man as old and steadfast as the house itself. She asked for the blinds to be opened, demanded a cup of strong tea, and asked for her existing will to be brought to her. For years, the will had been a simple, expected document, everything divided equally between her 3 children. There was Robert, the eldest, a successful cardiologist, the golden boy. There was Sarah, the middle child, a perfectly coiffed corporate lawyer with 2 picture-perfect children of her own. And then there was Daniel, the mistake, the rebel, the one who dropped out of college to fix motorcycles and lived in a tiny apartment across town. With a trembling hand, but a mind sharp as glass, Eleanor took a pen and drew a thick, unwavering line through 2 names, Robert and Sarah. She wasn't confused. She wasn't being manipulated. For the first time in decades, Eleanor was finally taking control. She looked at Mr. Henderson and said, with a voice raspy from disuse, "They already have their reward. They have the world's approval. They don't need mine anymore." The reading of the will was brief. When Mr. Henderson announced that the family estate, the investment portfolio, and the entirety of Eleanor's assets were left solely to Daniel, the silence in the room was so heavy it felt suffocating. Then the explosion happened. "This is insanity." Robert stood up, his face turning a dangerous shade of red that matched his expensive tie. Mother was clearly not in her right mind. "We demand a competency hearing posthumously." Sarah was trembling, tears of rage not grief streaming down her flawless makeup. How could she? "We did everything right. We visited every holiday. We called her every Sunday at 6 p.m. sharp. We hired the best nurses money could buy. Where is the justice in this? We were the good ones." They turned their fury toward Daniel, who sat quietly in the corner, wearing faded jeans and looking utterly exhausted. "What did you do, Danny?" Robert sneered. "Did you whisper poison in her ear when she was heavily medicated? Did you trick an old dying woman out of her legacy? You've always been a disappointment, but a thief? That's a new low, even for you." They couldn't process it. Their worldview was built on a simple transaction. You perform the duties of a successful child. You maintain the family image, and you receive the reward. They had checked every box. They had played their roles perfectly. The idea that their mother had rewritten the script at the very end was incomprehensible. It had to be a mistake. Or worse, a fraud. But the truth is rarely found in loud explosions. It's usually hidden in the quiet, painful moments that nobody talks about. While Robert and Sarah were busy being perfect, Eleanor was slowly dying of a disease deeper than cancer, terminal loneliness. Yes, the good children called every Sunday at 6 p.m. It was a 5-minute check-in, a monologue about their busy weeks, their successes, their children's awards. They never asked how she felt. They asked if the gardeners had come. They treated her like a property that needed managing, not a human being preparing to leave the world. Yes, they hired the best nurses, because it was easier to pay a stranger to deal with the messy reality of aging, the incontinence, the confusion, the fear of death, than to hold her wrinkled hand and witness it themselves. Their abuse wasn't physical. It was invisible. It was the abuse of neglect painted over with money. It was the cruelty of making their mother feel like an obligation they were efficiently handling between business meetings. She was a valuable antique they were waiting to inherit, dusted off occasionally for appearances, but mostly left alone in the dark. Eleanor saw it all. Lying in that big bed, she realized that her successful children didn't love her. They loved the idea of her. And as the end approached, the shallow performance of their love became unbearable to her. And where was Daniel, the rebel, the disappointment? While Robert was at medical conferences and Sarah was closing big deals, Daniel was sneaking into his mother's house through the kitchen door at 2 a.m. He was there the nights that morphine caused terrifying hallucinations, holding her unsteady frame so she wouldn't fall out of bed, whispering to her until the shadows retreated. He was the one who learned how to change her adult diapers with dignity when the night nurse called in sick because he couldn't bear the thought of his mother waiting in discomfort. He didn't call once a week for 5 minutes. He came over 3 times a week, sat on the floor by her bed, and just listened. He listened to her regrets, her fears about dying, her memories of a time before she was just the old woman in the big house. He didn't bring expensive gifts. He brought her favorite lemon Italian ice that tasted like her childhood. He played her old jazz records, and sometimes he just held her hand while she slept, because he knew she was terrified of waking up alone in the dark. When Mr. Henderson read the private letter Eleanor had left attached to the will, the room went silent again. To Robert and Sarah, I leave my pride in your accomplishments. You have built the lives you wanted. You don't need my help to continue them. To Daniel, I leave my home, because when my body was failing and my spirit was breaking, you were the only one who made it feel like a home, not a waiting room for death. You were the only one who saw me, Eleanor, not just mother, the obligation. You were the only one brave enough to sit with me in the darkness. The house is yours, my son. You earned it with your heart. The perfect children hadn't been robbed. They had simply received exactly what they had given, appearances. The inheritance went to the only person who had given something real. This story isn't easy to digest. It forces us to look in the mirror. It forces us to ask if we are loving the aging people in our lives or just managing them. This story touched a nerve, didn't it? We want to hear from you in the comments below. Have you witnessed a situation like this in your own family or circle of friends? And here is the hard question. In your opinion, what truly defines a good son or a good daughter when the end is near? Is it the one who provides the money or the one who provides the time? Let's talk about it, because these are the conversations we need to have before it's too late.